Well, let's dive into this new topic, investment appraisal. And I know it could sound really scary, investment appraisal. What is this, right? But I think we all can understand that investment is just I spend an amount of money hoping I expect a future benefit bigger than what I invested. That's what an investment is. And investment appraisal is all about choosing between different options we could have of investment. So we will use different techniques to choose the one that will be more profitable to us, and we will learn several methods in order to choose the best one. We will learn how to use simple payback, average rate of return, and discounted cash flows. Let's begin understanding the simple payback. For me, this is one of the easiest methods to choose between investment, but at the same time, it doesn't tell you much. So let's understand how to calculate it and what it's actually telling us. Well, here we have our fictional company of today, which is called Beanie Coffee. And we have to choose between two options. We could either buy a new coffee machine or create a new website to have orders online. Both things will cost money to the company, but we have to decide which decision is more profitable for ourselves. We can only choose one of the two. Well, the simple payback method only worries about when I am recovering that money. So to calculate it, it's very simple. We invest in the year 0, 10,000, and we need to count the time that needs to pass until we recover the whole investment. So on the first year, we have recovered 3,000, so we would pass from 10,000 to minus 7,000. In the second year, we will recover 4,000 more, so we add it, and we will only have 3,000 more to recover. And on the third year, we will definitely recover our money because we have 3,000 in inflow. I don't know if you see the path of this, right? So our payback period for project A is 3 years. Let's look at when we are recovering our money if we created a new web instead. On the first year, we will recover 2,500, so we will still have pending 7,500. Next year, we recover 2,500 more, so we will only be 5,000 negative. Third year, we will recover 1,000 more, so we will only be 4,000 negative. And here, we have a problem. If we add the full 8,000, we surpass, we don't take to zero. So what do? We divide what we have pending with the whole inflow of the following year. So we would do 4,000 over 8,000. That's 0.5. That's the fraction of the year I will recover my initial investment. So my payback period here is 3.5 years, as we calculated here, which could also be expressed as 3 years and 6 months. But what's the problem here? I designed this exercise on purpose so that you see the problem of payback. The payback period is shorter for buying a new coffee machine, right? We recover our money quickly, which is super good. But what happens after we recover that money? We only have 2,000 in profit, right? But what happens here? 3.5 years have to pass until we recover our money. But once we recover our money, we have 4,000 in profit. So that's what you have to bear in mind, that we don't only have to choose based on when we recover our money. We will have to decide based also on the future benefit these numbers will provide. Another of the problems is that these numbers are normally estimates, so it is really difficult to calculate and estimate correctly how much exactly my inflows are going to be in the following years. Because as we mentioned before in the past chapter, it's really difficult to predict so much in advance. So we need to make sure these estimates are accurate to correctly decide between one project or another. Now we are going to learn all about the average rate of return, which is another method of investment appraisal, another method to choose between investments. So basically what the average rate of return tells us is, on average, how much of my initial investment I'm recovering. So if my average rate of return, for example, is 10% and my initial investment is 10,000, I will be recovering 10% of my 10,000 initial investment every year. So what we have to do first is calculate the profit of the investment. So we add up all of the inflows and subtract the outflow, which is 10,000. So we add up 3,000 plus 4,000 plus 3,000 plus 2,000, which is equal to 12,000. And we subtract our initial investment, which is 10,000. So we can say our total profit was 2,000. But this, as I mentioned, is the total profit, not the profit per year. To calculate the average rate of return, we need to use the profit per year. So now that we got the total profit, we just have to divide by the number of years, which in this case is 4. So if we divide by 4, we get 500 average return per year. But as I said, average rate of return is expressed in a percentage. So we get this number and divide by the initial investment. Which will equal 5%. So we will, on average, be recovering 5% of our investment each year. But what's the trick here? One of the main drawbacks of average rate of return is that it ignores when the money is coming in. It doesn't account for the time value of money. Obviously, as a company, we want the money to come in as soon as possible, because the later we receive it, the less it's worth. As you know, 10,000 euros is not worth the same now than in 5 years. So as a company, we want to receive the money as early as possible. And the average rate of return does not take this into account. So finally, we have the net present value, which is one of the most complicated ways to calculate it, but let me tell you, it actually is the way businesses do it. Whenever you get into university, if you study business administration, you will learn all about this. So you just need to understand the essence of this, because I think with almost all certainty, you will not be asked to calculate this in your exam. So we know our money is worth less in the future, and businesses must account for this. We rather receive our money now than in the future. So to account for this difference in value of the money, we use discount rates. Each business uses one depending on the economic circumstances that you don't need to know much about. But let's assume there is a discount rate of 5%. You have a table in your book that shows the discount rate, and the more ahead we go in the years, the less our money is worth now. So what these discount rates do is translate our future cash flows into money of today. So as you can see, all of these discount rates match with the 5% discount in the book. And what we're going to do is try to bring this future cash flows we're going to receive into money of today. So if we multiply like this, we would get it. So it's equivalent to receive 3,000 in 1 year or to receiving 2,850 right now. That's more or less the way to see it. It's the same to receive 4,000 in 2 years than to receive 3,640 right now. So what the essence of investment in general, I tell you, is that the value of these cash flows that are discounted has to be bigger than the investment you did now. As you know, the investment we did was 10,000. So in this case, we would be profitable even taking into account the time value of money. So this is the whole essence of investment, net present value. As a disadvantage, you could say that it is complex to calculate it and not necessary in all situations, but If you ask me, I would do it every single time because it's the one that most closely reflects what actually we are gonna receive with our investment.